Well, welcome everyone to this week's Collective Tarot Read. Thank you for joining me. I'm Josh, also known as the Self-Mastery Consultant, and tarot is just one of the things that I do. And I just want to share that with you this week. You know, tarot, it gives us a chance to really check in with the story a little bit detached from ourselves and allows messages that can come through because maybe, you know, at some point during the week we were getting some messages, but we got a little too hung up on the messenger that we ended up missing the message. So I really like to tap into the tarot for that reason. And I also like it as an intentional tool for us to actually build our intuition. You know, trusting ourselves is more important than ever. And so giving ourselves opportunities to see through the cards, maybe they'll confirm something that we were feeling a little bit earlier in the week, maybe earlier in life, and you know, to give us that confidence to really make that move and push forward. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to draw out our cards here, and then we're going to jump on into the reading. If it's your first time here with me, thank you for giving me a shot. I know you have your share of options out there on YouTube, and you know, spending this time with me is greatly appreciated. Now I've got our 9 cards here, and I'm also going to pull from this special edition deck that I have. It's actually Adventure Time for anyone who is a fan of that show. I find it quite entertaining. It's one of the ones that I have on as background to just, you know, doing other things. You know, it's cool messages that come through there sometimes. So I'm just going to draw one card here. That'll just be an additional message, maybe something to tie everything together for us a little bit later. And we'll check on that after we've done the 9 card pull. All right, so jumping right in. We have here the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, now the 5 of Pentacles is very much looking around to see, are we asking for help and are we actually receiving it but not noticing the way that that's coming through? Right, so for example, we might really want some guidance around something. And we might actually just want that thing to be done for us versus us to get some guidance and then proceed and make the move, put it in action, do all the things, and end up at the end result. We might just want to go beelining to the end result. So we need to be mindful here. We need to really be thinking about, okay, am I actually willing to accept the help that I'm asking for? Right? In this image, we do see that there are these 2 individuals. They look like they're out in the cold. There is one who appears to be injured. And the idea here is that they're going by a resource that could actually offer them help. This represents, say, a church, solace that they can go into, find protection, warmth, food, comfort, all of that kind of thing. But they're not really looking at that. They're kind of just proceeding forward. So they are missing an opportunity for them to actually get the thing that they might need most in that moment. So let's be aware. Let's be mindful. Let's check in with the opportunities that are actually showing up for us and see if we are actually taking advantage of them. We then move on up to the Magician. Okay, now the Magician is a reminder from the universe that we are more powerful than we think, and we actually have all of the tools that we need to get going and to succeed. Okay, sometimes we really try to over prepare for something, and so we, you know, we might discount how much expertise we have walking into it. The Magician is a reminder that we are more powerful than we're giving ourselves credit for, and let's look back at our history, all of the wonderful things that we've been a part of and have actually helped to cultivate and make happen in the world. We see that the Magician is holding up a double-sided wand, okay, and that's connecting them to the universe and back down to the earth. So what is happening here is it's a reminder that we can manifest absolutely anything, okay? We can bring that down from up here onto earth, but we need to be checking in with that. We need to be intentional about what we're doing, right? Because with this power comes great responsibilities. I'm sure many of us have heard that quote, right? So we need to be mindful. We need to see that, you know, as we have said, hey, universe, this is what I really want to call in, and we start working towards it, it shows up, okay? I like to encourage people when we get the Magician to remind them to be irritatingly specific when they put out into the universe what it is that they want. Because, for example, I've looked back on my life, and when I've said, hey, I want to feel successful at something, for example, that's pretty general. And the universe works to allow me to feel successful. But then when I reach that point where technically, yes, I'm successful, that wasn't exactly the metrics that I was looking at to feel successful. So when I actually put that out there, when I am saying with the most detail possible, I am most likely to actually receive what it is that I'm asking for and working towards. So I think this card is encouragement for us to check in with how specific we're being in our requests and all the things that we're actually working towards. Okay. We then move on over to the 2 of Pentacles, okay? And this is very much going in between a few different choices that we feel we might have. So this is a time for us to really pause, take a break from what it is that we're doing that's occupying our time and just sort of keeping us on the go, to really sit with our feelings and connect with how am I feeling with these options that are being presented in front of me. Okay, when we are busy and we're just on the go all the time, we don't necessarily have the same attention to detail that we might if we actually take a pause and separate ourselves from everything that's going on. So I think that this is a reminder, a call for us to really take that pause, because we do have important decisions that need to be made, but the only way we're going to make them and make them confidently is if we take that time out to actually review what these options entail. We move on over to the Sun card, and to many the Sun card is actually revered as the best card in the tarot deck. Okay, so what we see here is that the sun is shining down on this baby. This baby is riding in on a white horse. A white horse represents the universe offering its support. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be an animal showing up for you, but it's the universe saying, I am all around you, I'm here, and I'm going to show up for you so that you can actually achieve and get to where it is that you want to go. All right, this baby here is sitting and they have a flower crown around them. They look very innocent, playful. They're just rejoicing in the warmth of the sun. And what this is saying is that everything that you are trying to manifest and have been working towards, here it is. It's on its way. It's coming in hot and heavy. Okay. We also see symbolism with the sunflowers here. Okay. And the sunflowers are a flower that always turn toward the sun. Okay. So we need to think about, are we choosing to perhaps lean into the sun when the sun is present, right? Now, if we parallel this to, say, feelings and opinions that we can have around things, right? Are we always leaning into the negative, or are we leaning into the positive, right? We have those choices and we can choose to lean into the positive. What is the deeper message behind what is happening for me right now, for example? Okay, so let's remember that we are supported and we have been putting in that work. So when success actually finds us, let's let ourselves bask in it. Okay, let's actually allow that warmth from the sun be that moment where we actually celebrate ourselves and our victory and all that we have worked so hard for. We move on down to the Page of Cups. Okay, now when we have the Page of Cups here, what this is encouraging us once again is ties into manifestation, right? This fish right here, you know, there are different schools of thought that really say this fish exists or this fish does not exist, right? So he might just be imagining or trying to manifest a fish within his cup. We see that the ocean is behind here, right? So that's where plenty of fish are, but he wants it right here. So what this is encouraging us to remember is that we are more powerful than we think. And all we need to do is give ourselves a chance to prove that to ourselves. All right, sometimes that's all it takes. We just need a moment to actually test things out. You know, sometimes our friends might tell us, oh man, I manifested this wonderful thing. And we're just sitting there thinking like, how did you do that? And that's completely not true. Well, have you given yourself a chance to actually see whether that can be true for you as well? I think that's what the encouragement coming through here is. We then move on down to the High Priestess. Okay, and the High Priestess is very much about sitting in our power and making sure that we are in a balanced state. Okay, so we have a lot of different things that are hinting at balance here, whether that be the white and the black that's going on right here, whether we see that as all phases of the moon that are present in the symbolism around this individual, the High Priestess's crown, whether we see that there are different religious symbolism that's coming through for us here. Okay, it's saying that there is a place for everything, right? And so what we need to remember with the High Priestess is that we need to own our uniqueness, our differences. Okay, we need to really own that, not necessarily try to stand out by blending in. Okay, so let's check in with ourselves. Let's see if we've actually been doing that, because a lot of us really want to live in this higher sort of feeling of power and personal empowerment. But what we're doing is we're actually following the blueprints that were created by individuals who aren't trying to be who we're trying to be. They were trying to be themselves. So I think this is very much, let's check in with the blueprint that we're following, and let's make sure that we're really owning every part of this journey, because the only way that the other doors along this journey are going to unlock themselves is if we truly believe that we belong here, right? In this moment right now, as we're on this upward trajectory. We then move on down to the Six of Cups. Okay, now the Six of Cups is very much about us tapping into our inner child and allowing that to come out to play. Sometimes, especially as adults, we get way too in this, oh, you know what, the rest of my life is about adulting, just taking care of all these responsibilities. Fun is for the kids. No, it's not. Fun is for all of us, and we need to remember that, because when we don't tap into fun, we're not necessarily getting a break from all the other things that we are working so hard on. So we kind of lose the opportunity to appreciate all aspects of life. We're kind of just, tunnel vision on certain things, right? So let's tap back into that inner child. And let's see the permission that that gives others around us when it comes to tapping into their inner child as well. Sometimes we just need to see other adults at play, enjoying life, enjoying a rainbow, a sunset, whatever it happens to be, just dancing on the beach. Sometimes you just need to see that once for us to feel within ourselves, oh my goodness, I've been missing out on that. Or maybe I really blew through childhood really quickly and feel like I missed out on some opportunities to play. And just because you're an adult now doesn't mean that those opportunities are gone. It just means that now we need to circle back and we need to actually create those opportunities for ourselves instead of just try and hope that they find us. Okay. Now, As we see in the background here, there's actually an individual who's patrolling this courtyard. Okay, so these two children, you know, they're stopping, they're literally smelling the flowers, they're just playing. What this is encouraging you to know is that you're protected as you take this time to play. Okay, there's someone, the universe really, who is protecting you as you take this pause to do something different instead of just hustle and grind. It's safe to do that. And sometimes, you know, I want to encourage you to think about this saying about how sometimes, you know, taking a break is actually the quickest way to get to where it is you're trying to go, right? So we need to think about that. Sometimes our body's actually calling for a moment to rest, to do something fun, maybe just sleep, right? Maybe we just need to go and have an opportunity to just have some fun, and you know, there not be any productivity metrics tied to that, right? We can do that. Even though we're adults, we can still do that. So I think that this is a call for us to really do that before we hit these stages of burnout that are going to take a real long time for us to recover from. Ultimately, that'll just impact our mental health because we're going to feel we're unproductive, and this sort of cycle just keeps going. You know what I mean? So let's embrace that inner child. We move on over to the Eight of Cups. Okay, and this is perhaps my favorite card. I actually have a tattoo inspired by this card. And what this is really about is walking away from the things that no longer serve us. Okay, so if we think about our soul and what really sets it on fire, what are the things that are putting water on that fire, right? This could be things like, say, tying yourself to a job just because you feel that you need the money. This could be living in a neighborhood just because, you know, historically your family has always lived there, so I guess you need to live there too. But even though you don't feel all that connected to it, and the land and the people, all those kind of things, right? So this is just about us having the courage to actually make these decisions, to step away from the things that we know are out of alignment with who we are and what we want. All right? This is very much a card, I think, that's calling on us to be courageous. And courage is really the word of 2025, if I'm being honest, from what I've seen. More of us need to do it, and I think more of us are seeing the benefits of being courageous and a lot quicker. I think the timeline for success and universe confirming that, hey, you're on the right path, you made the right decision by choosing what best serves you, I think that time period has actually shrunk a lot. So if you're feeling, oh my goodness, if I go out and, for example, become independent, right? You know, it's going to be a really long time until I'm successful. Well, let's define success first of all. And second of all, let's give yourself an opportunity to actually see how long that time period is actually going to be. Because like I said, I've seen it personally and from others around me that the timeline is actually smaller than we give it credit for. But, you know, we kind of play in that fear state, right? So we're just imagining, oh, you know what, our moment to shine where we're really going to get that glory and it's really going to prove to be the best decision is going to be way, way down the line. I don't know if I can hang in that long. Well, you can. And you know what? It's actually going to meet you quicker because you're betting on yourself. So I think this is really a reminder to bet on yourself. In case you haven't heard that in this last week, let this be the first time you're hearing it for this week, and let it be something that hopefully springs you into action. The final card in our read for this week is the Three of Cups, and this is a card of celebration. We see that these individuals are dancing around in a circle, they're holding up their cups, they're rejoicing. It's a moment where they're actually celebrating all of the successes, all the victories. This is reaping what we've sown for a very long time. Tending to our garden, and this is our time to actually pick it and enjoy it, take a bite out of it, right? We do see that down here we have different fruits and vegetables. We do see some grapes, some lettuce, some pumpkins, and these are all, these are all the harvest, right? This is showing us that it's coming time for us to actually collect on our harvest. It's not just a time where we're tending to the land and watering it and making sure it gets enough daylight and all that kind of thing. This is where we're actually enjoying it, okay? So I think this is also encouragement to remember that when we get to a state where we have completed something, say a big project or something like that, let's actually stay in that moment for a little while. Let's not be so focused on, okay, well, you know, we've gotten this year's harvest, I guess we need to start preparing for next year's harvest. Yes, you do need to start preparing, but you don't have to do that right away. You can enjoy this year's harvest first, okay? And sometimes we need to slow it down for us to truly appreciate the journey that we're on. If we just keep going from goal to goal, then we're not necessarily feeling, oh, you know what, it felt really great to achieve that goal, and I didn't realize how much it meant to me, and now all that I've learned from it. We need some time in between so that we can appreciate it, so that we can learn from it, okay? And all of these things so that the next one that we work on, whenever that time should come, we can do it differently and more efficiently, and most probably, right? So, you know, as we look at the overall spread for this week, what I'm seeing is that we just, you know, help is available to us. That's what this is really showing me. You know, the universe is really just kind of waiting for us to ask, right? So whatever it is that you feel you need to call in, you know, whether it's maybe someone who can mentor you, whether it's someone who is going to be a really good partner in life, right? You know, romantically, for example, whether it's some new friends. I think the universe is really just saying, you know what, I want to give you absolutely everything that you want, but first you need to believe you deserve it. And the way you prove that to me is by asking for it. Okay, so let's be really bold this week. Let's ask for what we want. And although journaling is great, I really encourage us to journal because that's a form of release. I love to actually get my thoughts out on paper because I find it actually clears up some real estate in my head. But you know what? What's even more powerful with this exercise is to say it out loud. If we verbalize, I am calling in this, right? That is significantly more powerful, I find, than just writing it down. Writing it down is great. I would say writing it down is, say, step one, okay, 1A. And then I would say that saying it out loud is 1B. I think that you'll find that the power of your voice and actually connecting your intention with your voice is really going to do a lot for you. It's done a lot for me, and it took me a very long time to get to the point where I believed that could actually produce a different outcome. So I encourage you, try it out for yourself. Now, the final card that we have here is the 10th card, and this is the card from the Adventure Time deck. Let's see what it has in store for us, what it might be trying to confirm for us, okay? All right. We have the 10 of Cups, okay? Now, when we get a 10, the 10 means that it's the completion of a cycle. And when we get the cups, that's really about our fulfillment, right? Especially when we think about it from an emotional perspective. So I think what this is confirming here for us, much like a lot of the other cards that have happened in this read, is that success is yours, right? And so we are now reaching the final stages where you can actually look back and be like, wow, this was accomplished. This thing that I've been investing so much time into, here we are at the finish line. Okay, so I think this is confirmation that you're there or you're just about there, so keep on going and be proud of yourself. Give yourself a chance to really celebrate you and all these accomplishments that you are reaching at this point, right? All the things that you hope are said to you by other people, onlookers, say it to yourself, okay? I really encourage you to do that because when we tell ourselves it and we really mean it, it really goes, at a deeper level. Okay, it's really great to get that outside praise, but when you can actually believe it and give it to yourself, my goodness, are you limitless. So I want to encourage you all to really, take ownership of your week. Feel empowered to really make some great things happen because the cards are really showing that you've been making great things happen, and now is going to be the time where you can really reap that, sit in it, and enjoy that success. So thank you for tuning in with me. If you are interested in booking a personal reading, those are an hour long. We do those virtually. Depending where in the world you are, we could possibly do those in person. I'm in Costa Rica currently. And so the link is in the bio of the YouTube channel. I encourage you to get in contact with me. Even if you just have some questions before booking a reading, send me a message and I'm all yours.